for the first time. Shane Larson goes defensive. We're almost 3 wide as we have Meisel now getting involved in the action, but it's Larson who leads Arnold in second place.
Come in with all that traffic right there.
Yeah, really strategic. Oh, there's a big accident there. Who was that spinning out? There's an LMP2 involved as well. The 38 car. Oh, that's wide from P2 there. He's in the barrier.
You're coming up on the field right now. This is our tightest battle on the track right now. In the 7th spot is Matthew Duder, right behind Agustin Castro and Justin Hall right ahead of him. So this is a battle for the 5th, 6th, and 7th spot. And it looks like Matthew Duder right there. Oh, we've got a car in the sideways in turn 3 again.
Watkins Glen International is the spiritual home of road racing in the USA, with crowds flocking to see top-level racing here since the 1940s. Indeed, virtually all major racing road classes in North America have competed here at one stage or another, from Formula One through to Can-Am, and of course the NASCAR Cup Series. Its nickname, the Glen, and now owned by NASCAR, it's played host to one of the most famous road racing NASCAR events, well, since the 1980s. And, well, of course, you can't come to Watkins Glen without mentioning its other famous race, the 6 Hours of the Glen. Well, and I'm sure that, you know, today our drivers will be relishing the chance at driving around the Watkins Glen circuit. My name is Sebastian Bosher-Williams. Alongside me in the commentary booth, I have Mike Braun, and welcome to race number 3 of the season. It's not race 1 as it says on your graphics. Race 3, we've had 2 incredible races so far this season, Mike. It was a little bit hectic, I think you could call it, at Road Atlanta. Do you think the drivers are going to sort of find the same difficulties around the track today, or do you think maybe they might just, you know, be able to take it a little bit easier out on the circuit?
Well, you know, Seb, that's good to be back. I did miss last week, but I did watch the broadcast, and that was chaos. That was a lot of just craziness going on. And I think we're going to get stretched out a little bit more on this, you know, almost 3.5 mile track. There's 11 turns on this track, so there's a lot of ground to cover on this race. The one thing that's a little scary is the temperature of the track right now. It shows 99 degrees right now, so if that's a little warm, so it might get a little sketchy in some of the turns. One of the ones that always gets me triggered is turn 9, when you're coming back onto the NASCAR straight up there. The turn's almost kind of off camber and it gets the car a little crazy, and it could act for some interesting action. Watching some of the practice, I saw a couple guys push out through there and just tap that outside wall, and it's so easily done on this track. But I look for this race to get a little more spread out this time, and I think we're going to be able to have some good racing today.
I really hope that we do have some good racing today. Qualifying underway at the moment, you see. Well, Dre Divac head up into 12th place in class. Heading up the hill now, Mike. You don't tend to see many overtakes heading through the S's. If you do, it tends to end fairly early. But do you think today, you know, the LMP2s might have to, you know, start to look at overtaking in the S's into places that they don't necessarily want to, just because of how competitive the LMP2 field has been so far this season?
Yeah, it's going to be, I think, like I said, it's going to be a little bit easier. I think this track's a little bit longer and a little bit wider than last week, so I think we should be okay. it's going to be one to see. I think it's going to show up kind of like when we did Road America, where it was just a little more wide open and a little bit better racing. But I think we're going to be in for a good show. I think the LMPs are going to do a good job, and the GT3s are really starting to show good pace right now.
They are. So, well, McClellan once again heading to the top of the timing stands. He is 1 minute 31.168. This man on your screen, Brett DiGiacomo, currently down in 31st place. What can he do as he rounds the final corner? Very tricky in these GT3 cars. Right on board, as he crosses the line, will DiGiacomo be able to improve on his second time of asking? Only manages to find one extra place. These LMP2 cars, though, Mike, so I think they're much quicker, aren't they, than the GT3? It's almost an irrelevant statement to make, but as somebody that's been doing quite a lot of practice for Petit Le Mans, it always catches me off guard, the pace difference between the two classes, and you have to be so skilled to be able to navigate your way through if you are an LMP2, and it always seems that Watkins Glen can always be a little bit of an issue when it comes to traffic management. McClellan not having an issue though, out on the track, sets a new fastest lap. What can Braun do? Currently in 11th as he rounds the final corner, and what will be, Mike, his final lap in qualifying.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you can see it's over an 11-second difference between the top LMP car and the top GT3 car. That's quite a bit of difference. And so, you know, a track that's going to be in what, about 5, 6, 7 laps, they'll kind of come around and they're going to start reeling them in. So, but like I said, I think these guys, this track is conducive to being able to run a multi-class like this. And I really think that they're going to be able to get around and not have any issues at all with passing. Hopefully, you know, I got my fingers crossed on that one.
I cannot wait to get this race underway, as you can probably guess. There's some drivers that have had a fairly good start to the season. You know, we got the Colin McLeans of the world in LMP2. Lilac Zier has had a fairly underrated, I think, start to the season. The only driver to be running the Ford. She's, you know, been really quick, had a little bit of bad luck, but I think one to watch throughout the season.
Yeah, it's been entertaining to watch so far. Running a car that nobody else really runs, running that GT40 around is really, you know. She's been different, and it's been just a nice thing to see, because you get so many tracks, like we were talking off air a minute ago. You go to a certain track and all you see is one car. You call it the Beamer Fest, or it's the Porsche Fest, or whatever. But, you know, seeing somebody actually go out on a limb and try something different, it's really cool.
Always love when we have a little bit of a divergence from the norm. Chuck Muro, what can he do? Well, I was going to say, can he improve? But he's already done his 3 laps of qualifying. So is this man, Jamie Southwell, just finished heading back into the pitch. Southwell will start 8th place. And no better. This man, though, Augustine Castro, again, another driver to really have a good opening few races of the season. First at the moment, in fact, I tell you what, while we have a few minutes left of qualifying, Mike, would you be so kind as to take us through the points in the season? I think, seeing as we are looking at a GT Pro driver, maybe we should start with the GT3 Pro-Am Championship standings.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So out in front right now, you got Justin Hall. Justin has been just doing a masterful drive in the first 2 races with 98 points. He's got 9 points more than Matthew Dweeter in the 2nd spot. Leon Clover, that independent, running in the 3rd spot, not too far back. And then you got the bearded guy, Eric Rodriguez, running in the 4th spot with 85 points. Augustine Castro in 5th. Diego Airy in 6th. Brian Hoffman in the 7th spot, Thomas Fisher in 8th, Chris Sanchez in the 9th spot, Eric Letsky running in 10th. And then you got Christian Gritzko in 11th, Brian Long in 12th, Andrew Welsh in the 13th spot. Then Bradley Alvis in 14th, Jay Fuller in the 15th, Braden Carroll in the 16th, and in the 17th spot is Daniel Carrero.
As we
And yeah, it's going to be a tight battle all the way out. I mean, you got in your top 3 spots is only 8 points separating them. It should be great.
should be good. Well, tell you what, a little bit surprised at how quick the qualifying session ended there, but we're just about to get your grid. Mike, take us away for your grid here. Oh, excuse me. Take away for the grid here today as we just get it up on screen. If I can master the controls, Adam has left me in charge. Maybe not the smartest of ideas.
Yeah, it may not have been. But in the LMP class, on the pole is Connor McClellan. He has been just laying it down since week 1. In the second spot is Wayne Castile. Nick Eby in the 499 racing car will be in the 3rd spot. Aubrey Kundrell in 4th. Justin Barrera in the 5th spot. Andrew Gajdarczyk in the 6th spot. Q Ni in the 7th spot. Jamie Southwell in the 8th. Chuck Moreau in 9th. Candice Gentry in 10th. Jack Lee in 11th, and Quinn Eisenbaum in the 12th spot. Right behind them is Daniel Benke. A little surprised to see him that far back. Must have had a little problem with the start. And then Joshua Benjamin with no time will be on the 14th spot.
When we have your class 2, the GT3s, Augustine Castro
with
is...
our GT3 cars, you got Agustin Castro on the pole, laying it down in that wrong stuff car. Christian Gritzko in the 2nd spot, Diego Airy in 3rd, Jake Luther in 4th, our points leader Justin Hall in the 5th spot, Bradley Alves in 6th, Braden Carroll in 7th, Stephen Koshko in the 8th spot. Then you got Billy Bowerman in 9th, Leon Clover in 10th, Kevin Medea in the 11th spot. Eric Rodriguez, a little rough qualifying for him back in the 12th spot. Brian Long in 13th. Bjorn Stange in 14th. Brandon Johnson in 15th. Our guy Dre Divac in the 16th spot. Chris Sanchez in 7th. 17th. Joey Rutledge in the 18th spot. And as we get towards the back of the field here, we've got Andrew Korstecki in the 19th spot, Andrew Welsh in 20th, Brian Hoffman in 21st, Zachary Robinson in 22nd, Matthew Dweeter in the 23rd spot, then Thomas Fisher, Kenneth Michael, Jay Fuller, Stephen Finch, Ben Simic, Lilac Zier, and Dominic Angelico in the 30th spot. And behind Dominic, you've got Michael Hiller, Brett DiGiacomo, Nicholas Norwood, Carol Davis, Tyler Emery, and Brett Accord. 36 GT3 cars. I mean, how incredible is this league turned out to be?
Completely and utterly incredible. 50 cars currently are on the grid as they all make their way down towards the bus stop chicane. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, that's where we're going to see the fair share of the action today. You always tend to get a lot of action heading in to the bus stop. Very quickly, let's bring you up to date with your LMP2 championship standings. And while Justin Barrera currently your championship leader, Colin McClellan in 2nd place. Not a good outing 1 week ago for him at Road Atlantic. He'll be hoping for a better run today. Nick Eby 3rd, Wayne Castile in 4th, Jamie Southwell 5th, Damien Benkay 6th, Will Coffey 7th, Aubrey Kundrell in 8th, Shane Larson. Mike, I think later on we're going to have to discuss Shane Larson's start to the season, as the reigning champion not had the best of starts, and Quinn Eisenbraun rounding out your top 10 in the LMP2 standings. And it's all about this start. How do you play a start around here, Mike? Do you go early, or do you just have to wait for as long as possible to minimise any slipstreaming effect down towards turn 1 and up towards the bus stop?
Yeah, you've got to, I mean, it's called the S's, whatever you want to call it. It's basically just a long straightaway, but it just has some real minor turns to it. So you still have a chance of making a good slipstream out of a long straightaway out of it. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I really do think that you're going to see a lot of moves get made on that back straightaway going into the inner loop. And then if anybody really makes a mistake going into that inner loop, coming around the outer loop, turn 5, You know, anybody comes in too hot, gets a little too far on the outside, someone's going to dive bomb on the inside and take that spot away. So that's, I think, where we're going to see most of the action is either going into one or into the inner loop.
Well, they're around the final corner. They've had their update from Mike about where to get their moves done. But all eyes head onto Connor McLean. He will take the start of the race and he goes early. Green flag flies here at Watkins Glen. 45 minutes of action, very firmly ahead of us. I think Eby has a look down the inside into turn one. Still remains in third. Kandal getting a better run though. Tries to fight Eby, but Eby likewise has had a good run out of turn one as they head up their way through turns 2 and 3 onto the back straight. McClellan has run away with the race start, and it's very much everybody trying to catch up to him. Eby in second place as we have a look at Augustine Castro, your GT3 race leader, gets a good start from himself as well. Gritsko closing in on the back straight as they head up towards the bus stop chicane for the first time. Jaguari in the third place, he's looking a bit involved as well, but down the inside goes Gritsko, and Castro demoted to second place with Christian Grisco taking the race lead early on as they round now the bus stop chicane. McClellan having a great job, but in the background, Mike, Wayne Castile getting past Nick Eby, finding his way up into second place. Drivers really fighting quite aggressively on the opening lap so far.
Yeah, they are definitely getting real aggressive right now. I mean, you got to get going because these are basically a sprint race. This is only 45 minutes of racing, so you really got to get going. And I mean, it's good to see these guys duking it out. But you know, Connor McClellan is probably going to start pulling away here soon because he is definitely the class of the field right now. Wayne Castile, he did have a good run. He did, if I remember correctly, he won last week, did he not?
He did. A great run by Wayne Castile. Really was there when he needed to be. What can Castro do? Does he want to get this lead back early doors, kicking across through the final corner? Very easy to do, very easy in fact to lose and spin the ridge as well. Further down the field, actually Justin Barrera losing a few places on the back straight, going side by side with the 34 of Southwell. Southwell gets onto the curb, almost collides with Barrera. Your championship leader just about manages to escape without damage, but very close and tight action on the opening few laps around the Watkins Glen circuit. Trostecki further down the field, he's in 14th place overall with the Mercedes of Braun staying right behind him heading into the bus stop. That Mercedes can be oh so quick, can't it, Mike? I mean, you as much as anybody, GT3 driver, that Mercedes is powerful in a straight line, and if one's behind you with the slipstream, it's very difficult to keep him behind you.
Oh, definitely. I mean, they get a good streak going, and just that big old breathy, just thunderous engine gets going, and it almost strikes fear in your opponent because you can hear the thing coming a mile away, and it's just, they have so much sheer torque and power that you can just shift the gears and it just keeps driving. So you get a good run like that, and it looks like Castile just spinning out in turn one.
Wayne Castile falling further and further down the order. There is Wayne Castile. He rejoins the circuit. A good catch there, Mike, and we can see exactly what happened to him. He's on the run down the approach to turn one. Oh, he's touched the grass and done very lucky, in fact, to keep it out of the barrier. But Wayne Castile, really unfortunate for him, losing many positions early on. Simek as well, I think. And while that was going on, Ben Simek has fallen foul once again. Oh, there's a spinning Mercedes. That's Tweeder, I do believe, spinning. Oh, and contact there between a BMW, and huge incident there for Ben Simek. Lucky to get away without hitting another driver, but it was a clean start to the race, Mike. But, well, at lap 2 or 3, drivers have decided that now is the time to start racing, and it's getting a little bit spicy out there on the circuit. But the battle between Castile and Gentry, Ben K up ahead, he's making up some positions from the start. In fact, Chuck Bureau in the back of your field going very slowly. Looks like he's got a puncture Mike, I know that's not modelled in iRacing, but the 67 of Chuck Muro going very, very slow.
Yeah, I wonder if he took some damage, maybe from the spinning car coming out of turn 9. I told you that can be a tricky turn, especially with the higher track temperatures. I wonder if he took a little bit of damage and maybe has a rear end that's just a little out askew or whatnot. There's no quite telling what's going on without really being in the car.
That's a very wide moment there in the background there. I think that's for Benjamin. Ended up going fairly wide through turn 1. Truck though getting past the lap traffic of Ben Simek. So Simek out of the pits and repairing his damage. Briscoe still leads in the GT3 class. Briscoe took that lead commandingly at the start and, well, has not let it go so far. Already starting to be caught up now by the LMP2s. That's going to really put the cap amongst the pigeons, especially in the GT3 fight. Right on board with Augustine Castro heading up through the S's, up towards the bus stop. Mike, do you want to overtake earlier? I know it's do you want to get through early, or are you happy to stay behind the car, save a little bit of fuel? Well, the answer, Castro onto the clutch, lifting and coasting for good measure as well. Castro wanting to save some fuel, and will that pay a little bit of dividends later on in the stint?
Well, we remember it wasn't in Road America where he was fuel saving pretty much that whole race, and that's what brought him out in front and to take the win in race number 1, if I remember correctly. But I mean, he's been a master at that. He's done it. He did it last season. He's done it this season. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know what fuel mileage looks like for these guys right now. But if he's clutching already, coming down that back straightaway like that, he's got to be pretty close to saving a pit stop just by doing that. So he's pretty wily, he's pretty cagey, and it'll be interesting to see where it comes out.
The driver who we know is cagey, is smart, is these two actually, Diego Airy and Justin Hall. Diego Airy in 3rd place, starting to lose touch with that Castro-Briscoe train, and Airy now losing the benefit of the slipstream, and Justin Hall right behind him in 4th place. But I mean, a driver that, you know, he's done really, really well, and haven't given him enough props is Jake Luther. He is the lead in the GT3 AM class, so he's the class leader, really mixing it up at the moment with the Pro-Am drivers. So Luther doing a superb job, and there's a real big train, isn't there, between going all the way from Airy all the way down to Luther. Diego Airy under pressure from Hall. Hall, in fact, getting past, pulls in, and Diego Airy demoted to 4th. Justin Hall up into 3rd, and Justin Hall decides that he wants to now try and catch up to Castro and Briscoe. Hall wants this win, and really that was a very it was a needed move, wasn't it, from Justin Hall to get past Diego Airy, to not allow the top 2 to escape. You know, Hall feels like he's got a little bit more pace, he needs to get past Airy and use it, otherwise, you know, Briscoe and Castro can just run away with the race, and there's not a lot you can do really once you lose the slipstream.
No, absolutely. He needs to start making the move and at least be in contact with your leaders. If he's wanting to hang on to that points lead and make a good season out of this, he needs to be up front. You cannot lose contact with your lead pack at all. And you see him, just about a second behind your leader right now. So he's in pouncing distance. So he's not getting too far away at all. He's not letting Christian and Agassi get too far away. And having Diego behind you, Diego's a fast driver, so you really wanted to get past him as quick as you can, and put the pressure on that lead pack and start making a move here pretty soon. Maybe he's looking at making it, before the pit stop and try to jump him in the pits. You never know. Justin's a pretty wily guy to get going.
Drivers who also need to be wily. This pack, led by Condell, Southwell, Barrera, and Benkei, again, all separated by less than a second from each other. Starting now to get through GT3's threes further back in the field. You see them all streaming through the final corner there. Down in 5th, Southwell at 6th. Southwell now gaining on the back straight, riding forward with Jamie. Southwell gaining and gaining as he decides to pull to the inside. Does he want to move? Does he want to play the game like Castro was doing? Well, once again, we see it really all about the fuel saving at this moment. It's gone a little bit wide heading into the bus stop there. So it's a corner that you either have to go, you have to be so committed to the inside curve or avoid it completely. You can't half-heartedly take the curve, otherwise it will throw you off and spit you out into the wall very, very quickly. Again, through turn 6, a little bit more traffic in our way. Cadell manages to navigate the BMW of Brettacord, but Southwell does not. That's going to allow Pereira to get back into the fight, so this battle has really changed, hasn't it, from Cadell under pressure from Southwell. Southwell now under pressure from Pereira. Further down in GT3 field, you see Sanchez, Fisher, Routledge, Hoffman, they're in the battle as well with their, well, the class of the race leader, Connor McClellan, coming through. McClellan now fairly healthy gap, like 1.5, 1.6 or so seconds. And Fisher going, oh, so close to the pit wall there. Not really. As he's trying to let everybody go defend, while the 27 Alan Perdue dives it to the inside. They're 3 wide into turn 1. Contact is made. The 205 car falls down the order. That's Sanchez, I think, and secondary contact made there. And Mike, well, that was almost bound to happen. You saw how many cars were trying to inhabit the same piece of racetrack, but disaster there for Chris Sanchez.
Yeah, that is not a spot you want to go too wide at all. You really got to watch it going into turn 1 like that. As you see, the LMP cars really cutting through the traffic right now. McClellan is getting back out, but it looks like his gap is starting to close back up. As they come in with so many of the GT3 cars, the pack is really tightening them up. If you look at the board right now, you see McClellan only has a quarter of a second advantage on Nick Eby, and Gaidarik is not too far back in the 3rd spot. So I mean, the top 3 in the LMP class are super close right now. So it's definitely going to be an interesting pit strategy for these guys too, and see what they do. But with so many of the GT3 cars out there, it's insane to get through all this traffic. I have no idea how they got through it in Road Atlanta.
Here is a replay of the Chris Sanchez accident. Well, it's the definition of 3 into 1 does not go, and Sanchez, the bearer of the brunt of the impact, gets hit out wide. Well, it's lucky, isn't he, Mike, to get away fairly lightly, I have to say, without too much damage. But you're right, McClellan gaining or being caught by Eby. Gaidarik as well in the fight for good measure. Gaidarik caught up by the traffic. I was a little bit naughty, I think I have to admit, there last race, Mike. Lilac Zia, one of the winners of one of the new challenges that drivers can win. Lilac Zia, one of the cleanest drivers for round 1 Road America. And what we now have to do is showcase their amazing driving. Mike, take us away for a lap of Watkins Glen in the hands of Lilac Zia of the 4GT.
You see her coming up on some traffic right now. I mean, it's a close battle right now as they're coming in through the inner loop and the end of the outer loop right now. Lilac was actually voted upon by the other AM drivers for just the... Let me go back over. The Shut Up and Drive team, racing team, has generously donated a Dan Morad lesson at the end of the season for the highest voted MVP AM driver. The highest voted MPV AM driver each week will also get the in-car lap like we're doing right now. We just kind of skipped it last week. But this is something that is voted on by everyone in the AM class. And so, all the peers have actually voted on this and voted Lilac as the winner of the first week. So as we're coming around her lap right now, she's coming out of turn 8, out of the loop right now, into the NASCAR straight. This is the turn that I was talking about. It's a little tricky. It acts almost off camber. If you push too hard, the car just wants to slide out to that outside wall. But right here is where you just lift just a tiny little bit. Oh, that's a car going the wrong way. That's not a good thing. But coming into turn 11, you're just lift just a bit and get back on the throttle all the way down the front straightaway. She's trying to stay close enough that she can get a little bit of a draft coming into turn 1 and be within striking distance coming up into the S's up there. Good apex coming into the 1 and gets just enough curve on that outside. That is a perfect amount, and it's got to be just brutal driving the GT40 around here. I know the BMWs, the Mercs are so nice, but everybody says that this GT40 is a handful, and Lilac is doing a great job of putting this thing around here and being what she's about 5th in the AM class right now. She's doing a great job.
She certainly is. I said earlier on, that she is one to watch, and she's obviously chosen the GT40. You have to wonder, it's not the prettiest of GT3s out there, so you sort of have to take that into consideration when you see it sort of running lower down the order. That car is really a handful to drive, not that quick of its own accord. So superb job by Lilac Zia. A few pit stops starting to happen. To the pits, a fairly early pit stop in today's proceedings, but benefits all around. Benke now up into 7th place. Wayne still finds himself in 6th place, trying to take away 5th from Barrera. Does so even before we've gone into the top of the hill. Barrera will try and take that position right back. Barrera's got the overspeed. Will head to the outside line as they head side by side into the braking zone of the bus stop. Barrera will have to concede in Castile up into 5th. Benke in the 5 getting involved as well, but a little bit concerned about Aubrey Condell. Well, in fact, don't need to be. There they are, exiting the pits, but a very, very early pit stop there, Mike. A little bit surprising, maybe, or do you think, it's just one of those strategies to sort of throw the dice and gamble and just see if that is the right strategy in the end?
Yeah, it might be the strategy of coming in a little bit earlier, so it's about the 16-minute mark. So when they come in again, it'll be about the 32-minute mark or so. So some people like to pit late and get that last 1 or 2 laps in, and some people like to pit a little earlier and actually get a longer run, and they might be better on a longer run, just more comfortable getting paced and just getting a longer run going. But it just depends on how you feel and your driving style sometimes.
Oh, Grits goes wide! Grits go so wide through turn number 10. Manages just about to keep it within the confines of the track, but Grits now under pressure from losing 2nd place. Justin Hall, his tyres will surely be screaming hot. Diego Airy, he now fancies a look at Justin Hall. Diego Airy, Justin Hall battle been going on for quite a few laps. Diego Airy down the inside into turn 1, makes his way past Hall. That gives Briscoe a little bit of a breathing space, but Castro, your race leader once again. Hall finds his way past, they're heading side by side through the S's up the hill. I said we don't tend to see this often, and it normally ends in disaster, but well, these two are proving that it certainly can be done. But look at this, Elvis in the background, he's now trying to capitalize, thinks about heading around the outside, but just has to back out of it for now. Diego Airy 4th, Hall in 3rd, but wow, that was some close racing, Mike, and unusual to see Gritsco making a mistake. Could be ruining that from the cockpit, and Castro must be laughing at the moment. Currently got a 1.5 second gap to 2nd place.
Christian is going back to what I said earlier in the day as turn 9 being just an absolute brutal turn sometimes, and that's what bit him. That's what he came out of that turn, went way high. I think he may have locked up going into it, and it caused him to go way outside. Luckily, he didn't get into the outside wall. But as you see, our leader in the LMP class coming in for a stop, Seb.
As you see everybody into the pits, you're very right, Mike. So Condell, the leader of the drivers, to already come into the pits. Aubrey pitted 1 lap before the rest of the pack. In fact, so did Benjamin. But I think Benjamin is showing out on our timing software. So everybody comes to a stop. There's a GT3 in there as well for good measure. That's I think the 332 car. Everybody now will get fuel and exit the pits. McClellan does so. Castile should be one of the next drivers to be released from their pit box. But Aubrey Condell, well, where are they on the circuit? I think the undercut looks a little bit quicker, like a little bit of a better strategy through turn 1. A little bit of GT3 traffic, though, in our way. And Condell remains in 6th, but that gap certainly lower between himself and Barrera in 5th. So it's worked a treat for the 53. It's just whether that early pit stop will happen later on. Barrera blinking momentarily on the circuit, with Barrera very much back and in the race. Castile gaining on side by side through the carousel of your turn 5 with the outer loop. Make the fend there from in. Castile has to apply the anchors to make sure there isn't a fairly huge accident. Getting past more GT3 traffic as we head up towards turn 6, very much up towards turn 6. Very hilly this circuit, can really throw the car into the corner. Right on board with Castile into the braking zone of turn 7. And Wayne make the move, a little bit of oversteer for the 33, and just so much traffic out on the circuit, Mike. It must be demoralising when you're in a battle for position. But it's a good run there. Oh, contact between the two. Huge incident. GT3's sent flying into the wall. It spins backwards. The 86 of Barrera, he's involved as well. And Mike, another incident as we see on the exit of turn 9. And is that Diego Airy involved? It was. Diego Airy is out of this race.
It's such a heartbreaking thing for Diego. He had a great run going. The history with Diego is it seems like it's just hit or miss. The guy either has a really great race or everything goes wrong with him. And it was somebody sideways coming in the last turn there too.
That's Jake Luther, who finds himself very much stranded on the apex of the final corner. Miraculously doesn't seem to have been hit by anybody. Oh, tries to come into the pits and almost has a pedestrian accident with Stephen Finch. They all get away with it. Stephen Finch, I think, would be ruining his very adventurous pit entrance. But I mean, as always within the WSRL Championship, where things tend to happen in pairs or triplets, really, we get a fairly clean race, and then all of a sudden the action heats up and everything goes a little bit peaked-on for a lap or two, and we find ourselves now with Bradley Elvis in 3rd place. So he's a big beneficiary out of the incident with Diego Airy, but Diego was so gutted after that, Mike.
No, absolutely. He had a great run going and was just sitting there right there with Justin Hall and just had a great battle going with him. And it almost looked like just that LMP may have just clipped him in the back quarter panel and just caused him to spin out. You see him already going backwards on the track, just trying to stay out of the way of everybody. But they were just coming out of the turn that I keep talking about, that turn 9 coming off to the NASCAR straightaway. That's the one that always seems to get everybody off guard, and it just caused here they come coming onto the 9, and I don't know if that was netcode or if that was Nin all the way up inside of him like that. It's kind of hard to tell from that angle, but again, turn 9 being the rough turn for everybody.
Yeah, proving to be really challenging, and especially when you're facing backwards, it's not an easy place to return to the track. Southwell into the pits as well. I believe that might be for his 2nd stop of the day. Chorachetsky, though, what can he do? Chorachetsky, another driver yet to pit. GT3's pitting, as we normally see in the series, a few laps later than their LMP2 counterparts. And just, to touch on the pit entrance here, Mike, it's a really difficult pit entry, isn't it? Very easy to end up having a little bit of a miscommunication with the driver behind you. And like we saw with, who was it? It was Luther spinning and Finch coming through. I mean, you can have a fairly silly looking incidents very easily.
Oh, absolutely. That last turn, I mean, the driving line is the pit entry. You have to be fast through there. You have to be down and in that pit entry lane, and then you just kind of slide up. But so if you got somebody going into the pits there, as soon as you get out of that apex, you have to get hard on the brakes to get down to your speed limit. And if you're not too careful and you you don't have enough gap behind you, you're going to take that guy behind you out, or he's going to take you out. Either way, it is a brutal pit entry. I know some of our teammates have had some issues with that in some of the long endurance races here, and it can be super tricky to get in and out of there. And it's good to see Diego back out there. He was able to get his fast repair, and it wasn't just a complete waste of him. So, you know, he was able to limp it around. It wasn't too far out of the pit lane to be able to get around there. But, you know, you got everybody coming in and out of the pits right now, and who's that? The Agustin coming in for his stop. And see, we talked about that earlier. He was really fuel unsaving that whole time, and he just went another 2 laps longer than anybody else. They all started coming in about 21 minutes, 22 minutes, which is just short of halfway. And Agustin was able to save his fuel and actually get past the halfway point. And now he's got 20 minutes to go to lay it down and just pull away from Justin Hall. He should be able to not have to worry about fuel saving at all for the rest of the way out.
Certainly going Augustine Kashko's way at the present moment. Trojecki trying to find his way past Eric Rodriguez. Trojecki in the slipstream as he heads up the hill. The Pro AM car versus the AM car. They're going to go side by side on the exit as they head up the run towards the bus stop chicane. Trojecki is on the outside. Rodriguez defending to the inside. Rodriguez not going to make this an easy move for position. They've got McClellan, the race leader, right behind them as well as they enter turn 5. Oh, Trojecki's wide. McClellan must have been a little bit concerned from the cockpit, and they all managed just about to get away. The stage was so wide, and the Mercedes we just saw at the back of the shot, almost making a very firm acquaintance with a barrier on the outside of the track. Gets away with it for now, though. Trojecki having a great race, but Moscow. All of that was going on, Mike, with Diego Airy. He currently finds himself in first place in the GT3 AM standings. You can tell that by their numbers. If they've got a 2 in front of their number, it's a GT3 Pro AM entry. If it's a 3, it's a GT3 AM. So Koshko really having a good race so far. Confirmation that everybody has stopped at least once in this race. Certainly going to play out, I think, in the latter stages. You see the 33 of Castile. He finds himself up into second place. We actually, in fact, have a look at the grid. So McClellan in first, Castile second. Traffic. We've got Andrew Gadarik in third. Well, Gadarik, Mike, he's had a fairly sort of anonymous race so far at 3 places from where he started, but just napping away, improving the old adage that if you just keep out of trouble, it can really help your race in the long term.
Well, at the end of last season, we saw Andrew get a lot better and start getting really fast, and he was on the front row at Fuji when there was a pretty bad mistake in the GT3 class and ended up just destroying his race. But ever since then, we've noticed that Andrew's been getting quicker and quicker. And then this year, he jumped up into the LMP class, and it's good to see him running in the top 3 right now. It's Larson's not here, so that might be one car that could be ahead of him. But it's good to see Andrew running up front with these guys.
So Brett DiGiacomo coming in for his second stop, the earliest driver to make their second stop in the GT3 class. Couldn't though, back to the LMP2s, finds themselves in 4th place with Joshua Lee in 5th. Jack Lee, I should say, apologies, they're in 5th place. Chuck Muro in 6th. Kansas Gentry 7th. Nick Eby in 8th place. Well, Muro's got a whole bunch of traffic up ahead of him. You see, right through turn 9. Hotspot of action in today's proceeding so far. Kansas Gentry, Nick Eby in 8th. AK 9th. Justin Pereira in 10th place. In just outside in 11th, and Southwell is back out on to the circuit. Nice Braun and Benjamin are not currently in the race. I think both retiring from today's proceedings. GT3 class, this man reigns supreme, really, since he managed to make the move earlier on and retake that race lead from Christian Briscoe. Augustine Castro is your race leader in GT3, just for second. Bradley Alvis in third. Braden Carroll right behind him in fourth place, and then this man Stephen Koshko finds himself in the lead of the GT3 AM standings. Mickey Bowden right behind him in second place in the GT3 AM standings. John Chetsky third, Eric Rodriguez in eighth place, Bjorn Stange ninth, Kevin Medina in 10th place. But I want to draw your attention once again to another of the winners in Drive's challenge and award, Mike, and that's Dre Divac. Had a really good race at Road Atlanta. Not many, I think, can say that, and you know, he was remarkably clean when everybody around him wasn't. There's a Mercedes just going a little bit slow through the turn 9 to turn 10 shoot, actually forcing Dre just to back off the racing line. But why don't we once again go aboard for another lap around Watkins Glen, Mike, on board with the Porsche 911 and Dre Divac.
Yeah, on board with Dre and that Porsche. That Porsche is going to be a little tricky on the curves here, but he comes into turn 1 nice and hard and braking, gets that inside curve, and once again just gets enough of that outside curve. That's about as much as he can get without taking an off track. But he has to go a little wide there to let those LMP cars come by. So maybe that's why he pushed out a little bit like that. But then he cut down tight onto the S's here, and as we're coming up into the inner loop with these GT3 cars, you can take a whole lot of curve coming onto that inner loop. But like you said earlier, you really have to commit to it. You get that curve, and you get this one, and then you can ride these two straight out. And then you just want to tuck it down low on the inside, lift just long enough, and just as you hit that little access move, you start following back in and getting around with this one. And then you're going to get under the brakes pretty hard to come into the chute section into turn 6. And coming into the area right now, you're coming into what they call the toe area. This turn can be real tricky, is if you get, you don't want to get downshift too far low, because you can start breaking it out, breaking the back end around, especially with the higher track temps. And then he's coming up into the heel of another LMP car coming by. Dre doing a great job, not too far back from Fisher. Fisher in the other division, Pro-Am. Dre is in the AM division right now. But here they come into that tricky turn 9. As you can see, it's a real blind turn with that inner wall right there. And then the curbing and just the angle of coming up the hill and onto that flat straightaway on the NASCAR straight really causes that turn to be just a lot of chaos. And as you come into the last turn, you can see the pit lane entry all the way inside the pit lane. And if you try to pit, you have to get on the brake so hard to get down and into that area and do not wreck the rest of the field. But that's a lap around Watkins Glen by the man, the myth, the legend, Dre Divac.
And what was interesting is Dre was saving a lot on that lap. Fuel saved into turn 1. Plenty of in the background there. That's Brett Giacomo. A bit of assistance that he's needed to find himself. Certainly got a little bit of damage to the rear wing of that Audi. Have a look at the replay. He's already got the damage, hasn't he? Has Giacomo broke a little bit too late into turn 1. Finds himself heading sideways and spinning off the circuit, and that unfortunately is another incident for Giacomo. Giacomo clearly been a little bit in the wars in today's proceedings. Lilacs here trying to find her way past Giacomo in that wounded Audi. Another driver to win, driver this season. Oh, there's a spin. Oh, Giacomo is off and spinning round and right. Have a look. We're right aboard with Finch. He's going to come around the corner and might just about see a sideways stricken Audi. Yes, he does. Oh, and the race leader coming through. Thought there was going to be a multi-car collision there. Connor McLean hasn't. I mean, he's had some really good races, Mike. It reminds me, if we go all the way back to America in race 1, you know, in the race lead, but he always seems to find a little bit of trouble out on the circuit, and it's never a plain sailing win for him. And that is sort of the perils, isn't it, of multi-class racing. You know, you've got two cars sort of having their own disagreement on the circuit. You arrive at a great rate of knots, and McLean's race could have very easily been over that.
Oh, absolutely. McClellan's done a great job of just keeping it out of trouble. I mean, the first two races, we saw Shane just get into it just seemed like he was a magnet for anything that was going on in the race, and just kept getting hit by everybody. But McClellan's done a great job of staying out of that kind of trouble. As we see a good side-by-side battle coming into the boot area right now. We've got, is that Barrera and Nin battling it out coming into the heel of the boot right now?
Nin under pressure from Barrera making the move. Justin Barrera, of course, was involved in that incident that we saw through turn 9. They're going to go 2 wide, make it 3 wide as they pass the portion. Nin on the outside, Barrera trying to stay ahead on the inside line. You could run wide there. It's almost the racing line. Wheel-to-wheel contact there. Almost touring car-esque, let alone prototype racing. Nin takes the position once again. Barrera finds himself one position down, coming through the flat-out corner of turn number 10 into turn 11, the final corner. Cars heading left and right all over the place. Barrera a little bit more cautious on the throttle, had to back out of it for just a split second. In Barrera back now behind the 68 of Nin. Great action. The closest battle at the moment in the LMP2 field. Pit stops now starting to happen in both the LMP2s and the GT3 classes. 10, or just under 10 minutes I should say, minutes of racing left to go in tonight's race. Looking like a 2-stop is the strategy. Barrera though, I mean, he has been unlucky, but you know, really proving the pace that Barrera has got at the wheel of the 2 cars, and it's certainly not able to escape down the road. I think this is a battle that could develop and continue for quite some time.
No, absolutely. I mean, like you said, we've got about 8 minutes left in this race. Barrera might be just biding his time, just saving the tires, cooling them back down just a little bit, and that took a little bit of pressure going side by side like that with Nin. So we might see the battle come back up, especially with lap traffic like they're coming through right now. It's a tight battle, and it looks like Barrera trying to go around the outside there. Made a little late move on somebody, couldn't quite get it done. Where Nin got through a little bit cleaner, and Barrera dropping back about a second and a half back now. So it's still going to be a long race to go. I mean, you still got 7 minutes to go. These guys still should need to come in one more time. Benke's coming in right now, your 5th, and he's coming down the standing, so these guys went by. So Nin up into the 4th spot now, and Barrera into 5th.
See the top 3 and get to make their 2nd stops of the night. Benke was also one of those, but he has already come into the pits. Well, McLean, I was going to say, can they just about do it on one sub? Oh, car spinning off in the background there as a GT3 as I fail once again on the cameras. That's Kenneth Michael spinning around the 380. Porsche gets going once again. The heart in mouth moment all involved there. We have a look, and this is Kenneth Michael, so we see Wakersfield diving to the inside. No contact made between them, but just puts Kenneth a little bit off the racing line and spins off the track. He'll get going once again. It's a fairly soft barrier on the outside, but Michael a little bit wrong-footed by that LMP2.
Yeah, if you get outside, you don't hit the apex in 10 real well, you end up way off the track, and so you either have to get way inside and hit the line, or actually take that off track and go over the curb and get in that runoff area, and just kind of hang on to it there. But it is a tricky spot to get by. A lot of times the cars will actually wait for the next turn coming into turn 11, or just pass you down the straightaway. But as you see a pretty good battle right here between Cundell and Barrera.
So Nin has gone up the field. Barrera's left to fight with Aubrey Cundell. They're side by side through turn 1. Barrera just about holds his position. He's coming like a rocket as we head up the hill once again before towards the bus stop chicane. Barrera to the inside. Candell forced to go the long way around. There's a Porsche up ahead that might just give Aubrey Candell pause for thought, and indeed it does. Barrera holds on. He finds himself in 5th, but gets wrong-footed by the Porsche. That's the race lead. That's Augustine Castro. They're going to go 3 wide. Contact made. Oh, so close to disaster for Aubrey Candell and Augustine Castro. Castro manages to survive. Aubrey Candell really put pace into that. To his race win. As we have a look once again. And Augustine Castro, in my words, next up coming in to turn 8. And Barrera, I mean, he's been in the thick of it today, hasn't he? Barrera, he's had a little bit of racing action, a little bit of spinning action. Unfortunately for him, was not his fault. But Barrera really trying to hold firm. Interestingly, though, Nins coming for his 3rd stop. And so has Barrera, and so has Southwell. Southwell almost locking up and crashing into the back of Barrera on the pit entrance. Gets away with that, but strategy really playing a big factor in this race, Mike, and not really for the first time in the WSRL series.
No, these guys have been playing the fuel mileage game just about every race. And Justin Barrera did that one race where he literally ran out of gas on the last lap. So I mean, there's always been a little bit of fuel strategy games, and I think that's why they make these races the lengths they are, and the fuel tanks the size they are. And is this a battle we got for the AMP system? Oh no, wait, no, it's a little bit farther ahead. Caution still in the lead in the AMP class, and Bowerman in 2nd. We do see Billy coming around there. He was the winner in race number 1. My guy winning it at Road America. And he's laying it down right now, running in the 2nd spot in the AM class, doing another great representative from the Team Empire driver down the back straightaway right now.
Trying to take away that 2nd place from Bowman. However, Rodriguez finds his way past Bowman into turn 1, so the cars are separating Stanger and Bowman for their AM positions. Into turn 6 and downhill braking zone. A bit loose under braking. Won't help him in this fight at all. The Porsche, very unstable car. In fact, me and Mike were discussing notes between different classes, or GT3 cars, I should say, earlier on before the broadcast started. One's got their friend for a car. The Porsche has to be mine, but not an easy car to drive. You see the flat traffic there. That's Nicholas Norwood in the Mercedes! Contact between himself and Rodriguez, and Nicholas Norwood finds himself facing backwards on the circuit. Made contact crucially with Eric Rodriguez. Rodriguez just about gets away with it, a little bit of damage, but Bowman almost into the wall on the exit. And look at this, Stange coming in like a rocket ship, going to pick the pocket of not one, but both of them heading down towards turn 1. And Rodriguez loses 1 place, but Stange gains 2. And Bowman, after that mistake, finds himself at the back of this pack. Great action though. 43 minutes gone out of a 45-minute race, and well, the best speed in iRacing. What to do if he wants to overtake Stange and head back up into the top 5, Mike?
Yeah, this is going to be where he's going to want to try to do it. He's trying to get in there on the inside under braking it. Didn't have quite the run that he needed, and I wondered if he took a little bit of damage in that incident on turn 9. And then him and Billy having to check up down the straightaway and slow down. Billy's starting to really fall back right now, and Bjorn is starting to pull away from both these guys quite a bit as we're coming into that incident right there, and you can just see the damage that was taken by Eric. Quite a bit of damage. That was a hard hit, but we've got less than 1 minute to go, Seb. I mean, everybody else is pretty spread out, but this is the closest battle on the track right now. For a 5th and 6th spot in the GT3 class.
As you see your race leader diving to the inside of another GT3 car. Well, Connor McLean, what a race he has had so far today, Mike, and what a season he's had. Well, lucky last week at Road Atlanta, but has really, really come back incredibly strongly from that. And the round final corner, not a lot really stands between himself and the race win. Across the line, it's white flag, 1 lap to go. Flash of the lights there to say, to tell the Audi just to get out of the way. And heartbreak for both Rodriguez and Baumann. Mike, both having to come into the pits to take another splash of fuel. Not what they would have wanted whatsoever. And that will be, I do believe, their 3rd pit stop of the day. But heartbreak for those two in a battle that promised so much, Mike. Looks like it's ending up not going to deliver as much as we would have hoped.
Yeah, and I mentioned earlier that they stopped before the halfway mark, and they would have to milk it a little bit. But your GT3 leader right now was the guy that milked it the whole first half of the race and got past the halfway point and was able to fuel save it and actually have a good run on it on the end of the race now. So he should be good the rest of the way. So we're coming up on our last lap right now, Seb. Let's go ahead and bring him home.
Bring it home indeed. Medida is under pressure from Diego Eri. Fisher as well in the battle for what would be 6th place overall in the GT3 class. For 3rd Medida is 3rd in the GT3 standings. Carroll closing in on Dre Divac as well. Routledge, Welch and Rodriguez, they're close on the circuit, but nobody is close to this man. And Connor McLean, he will cross the line to win round 3 of the WSRL Season 2 Multi-Class Championship. McLaren a dominating lights to flag victory with the pole included, and he might just about, no, he won't get the Grand Chelem, as it were, of the pole fastest lap, and then every lap Castile has a slightly fastest lap. But Wayne Castile, after a very difficult start, will find himself finishing in 2nd place. Great job by him. Elvis, it should be noted, finishes in 3rd, Koshko 4th, Stange 5th, Medida 6th, Diego Eri 7th, Fisher in 8th place in the GT3 class. And then it's a little bit of a cluster as they cross the line. Aubrey Condell will be in 4th. Great race though from everybody. And I tell you what, a driver that I'm surprised by, and congratulations to, is Chuck Muro. A driver that had a little bit of a difficult start to the race, finds himself in 5th overall. A great comeback drive from the 67.
Absolutely, yeah. He's had a rough couple of races so far, and it's always nice to come into a race and you know, maybe this is one of his favorite tracks, but that is a great drive from Chuck. Get into the top 5 and almost hitting the podium there. He wasn't too far behind Cottrell and Andrew Gajdarek, so it was a great run for him.
Saying about this man, we've seen Castro at the pole. Did not lead every lap, had a great fight with Briscoe early on, but Castro will cross the line to win the GT3 overall race. And then dominating a victory from Hall, who will come across the line in 2nd place. 3rd down have already finished. Hall, one of the last drivers out on the circuit to cross the finish line. See the checkered flag. Great race by him. Everybody now, Mike, on their slow down laps, calling off, just reflecting another great race here at WSRL. Always looking forward, I should say, to these races. Never fails to deliver, and it's fair to say I'm very pleased that we didn't have a repeat of Road Atlanta, where maybe, you know, incidents dominated maybe more than they should have done. Very clean, very a lot of respect given, I should say, in the battles, and really thoroughly enjoyable.
No, absolutely. This track was definitely a lot more catered to the multi-class, and it showed. The guys did a great job. There were a few incidents here and there, but it was definitely a great race. And I think we could pull up the leaderboard right now, and I could go through that if you would like, Seb.
Why don't you take us away, Mike, for the race results here? And in confirmation of, well, the absolutely stunning race that we've had today.
That LMP class you had, Connor McClellan take the win. A pretty commanding win with a 23-second advantage over Wayne Castile. But Wayne did have that early issue, and I'm really wondering if he would have had a little bit more of a fight up there with Connor if he didn't have that spin out earlier. And then you had Andrew Gajdarek finishing in the 3rd spot. Good run from Andrew to be up there in the top 3 and make the podium in the LMP class. And then Aubrey Condrell finishing in the 4th spot. And then your favorite guy, Chuck Murrow, finishing in the 5th spot. Good privateer run for him, getting in the top 5. It's his best result so far. And then Nick Eby finishing in the 6th spot. Nick was up front earlier on in the race, and I'm not sure what happened, but he ended up dropping back, was able to work his way back up into the 6th spot. And then you had Kik Nin finishing in the 7th spot, Kansas Gentry in 8th, Justin Barrera having a rough last few laps, dropping back into the 9th spot, Jamie Southwell finishing in 10th, Jack Lee finishing in 11th, Damian Banky finishing in 12th, and then Quinn Eisenbrom and Joshua Benjamin both disconnecting and not finishing in 13th and 14th. And in the GT3 class, your winner was the Fuel Master, Agustin Castro, stretching that lead out to almost 13 seconds. And that's, I mean, over Justin Hall. Justin has been dominated in both Season 1 and Season 2. And to see Agustin stretch it away by a 13-second advantage is pretty impressive. And then you had Bradley Alvis finishing in the 3rd spot. Diego Ari was able to work his way back up and finish in the 4th spot. Thomas Fisher finishing in 5th, Brian Long in the 6th spot, Eric Rodriguez in 7th, Braden Carroll in 8th, Andrew Welsh in 9th, and Brian Hoffman finishing in 10th. The 11th spot went to Jay Fuller. Matthew Dweeter ended up 2 laps down to your leaders in the 12th spot. Leon Clover in the 13th. Christian Gritzko falling out of the race. Not sure what happened with that. I know we saw him get high coming into turn 9 that one time, and I wonder if he had another incident that maybe he caused him to just want to disconnect. And then Chris Sanchez ended up in the 15th spot, and that was in the Pro-Am class. In the amateur class, we'll pull up the AM class here, and your winner in the AM class is Steven Koshko. He ended up with a almost 6-second advantage on Bjorn Stange. Bjorn was able to make that last that move on Billy Bowerman early on, and was able to get out there in that 2nd spot. Kevin Medina finishing in 3rd, Brandon Johnson finishing in 4th, our guy Dre Divac finished in the top 5. That's a great run from Dre. He's been doing a great job in that Porsche. That's a good car to get around there with. Joey Rutledge finishing in the 6th spot. Our favorite GT40, Lilac Zier, finishing in the 7th spot. Billy Bowerman dropped all the way down to the 8th spot after having to come in for another pit stop. I wonder if he may have fueled up just a little too much and just pushed him back down the board pretty far. Andrew Korostecki finishing in 9th. And then Jake Luther rounding out your top 10 in the GT3 AM class.
Wow, what a race we had in store. I was likewise a little bit surprised, Mike, to see Gritzko, because you remember, he did go wide, and we didn't quite see what happened to him. This is what's come up on our timing software. I just thought we'd give everybody a little bit of a look and see exactly what happened to Gritzko, because he was a real race winner challenger. Oh, and he's lost the rear. Hit the grass coming through turn 9, another driver to fall foul of turn 9, and that's unfortunately what ended Christian Gritzko's race. So heartbreak there for him, jumps to the pits, and that was very much here the end of his race today. But I think it might just be time to have a little bit of a chat to some of our drivers out on the circuit. And I think there's only one man that we can start and have a conversation with, and that's got to be your overall race winner, Connor McClellan. Connor, welcome to the commentary booth. That was do I dare say a dominating race from your side? Looked fairly easy out there. I mean, it just looked like everything went your way today.
Um, Thank you. It was going quite well. I was pleasantly surprised at how little incidents I had, and I mean, there were a few spooky moments where I thought, okay, this is where my race ends. But unlike last round, I decided to stay patient, and it worked out quite well.
It certainly did from your side. I think I. It's interesting you say about there's a few times that you thought your race was over. I think we might have caught one of those on the stream, and I said it seems like every time we go on board or have a look at your race, there's a moment where you must be thinking, oh my god, this might be a race ending incident. How do you deal with those from the cockpit? You just have to be super alert, or yeah, because it must sort of raise the blood pressure a little bit.
It does, because you see the smoke and you're like, okay, you have to slow down, right? But you don't want to lose too much time. But I mean, losing like a second or two is better than losing 5 minutes in the pits, right? So basically, as soon as I see smoke, I'm just like, okay, just look at all the cars, slow down a little, and try not to plow into any GTs or LMPs that might have been stranded. And other than that, it's praying that everyone holds their brakes, because I mean, of course, I could just plow into them with my lack of brakes, the arco brake style. But I could also just be randomly tagged by someone not holding the brakes or rejoining in a shitty manner. But that didn't happen, thankfully.
It
It,
didn't.
it
No, thankfully it didn't, Connor. I do have one question for you. This is my first time being able to interview with you. It shows you being in Germany. So my curiosity is, what time is it for you right now?
it is currently 4 a.m.
Yeah, it's 7 p.m. for me on the west coast of the U.S. So, do you stay up for these races, or are you getting up early to run these races?
No, I stay up. Today I woke up at I think it was 9 a.m. and I've been awake ever since. The fatigue is starting to set in, not gonna lie, but but I've been trying to keep myself awake with some highly needed caffeine. You could say it's a stupid decision to race at 4 a.m. in some league, but it's been worth it so far. It's quite fun.
Well,
It
it's
seems worth it, and I think Seb has some caffeine hips for you, so you might want to get with Seb later on, being that it's 2 a.m. for him too.
it's
Oh, my condolences.
it's 3 a.m. At the moment,
Oh,
and at least you're not shouting at your in the middle of your garden with all your neighbours looking at you. I mean, the dedication, Connor, is admirable. I mean, congratulations once again on your race win. Before we let you go and go get some much needed sleep, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to at all?
I'd like to give a shout out to my friend Healer, who actually almost stayed up with me until this moment and woke up once during the race to say good luck to me. That was very cute, and I appreciated it.
Oh, lovely. Well, thank you so much, Connor. Once again, congratulations, and we'll see
Thank
you
you.
in 1 week's time.
Yes. Goodbye.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. That was Connor McClellan, your LMP2 race winner. Mike, I think you might have just about found Augustine Castro the winner of the overall GT3 class.
Yeah, actually, I did. I found walking around the paddock, I was able to find Agustin Castro. Agustin, congratulations on your second win of the season. It looked like a pretty good race for you. It looked like you were saving fuel in the beginning, and then you were able to push at the end. Am I correct in what I saw?
Hey, thank you. Yeah, that was uh, my race exactly. I was saving a lot of fuel behind Gritzko, and then he made a mistake, and I took the lead. At that moment, I pushed as I could to don't let Shafin to save fuel behind me, and took distance, and then it was just a pace race.
You did a great job, Agustin. If I remember correctly, at Road America, which was one of your favorite tracks, you said, but that was one that you saved a lot of fuel, if I remember correctly, and everybody else had to stop for another time, but you were able to do it on one stop. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, I really like save fuel.
Mm.
It's on the things that I enjoy. So yeah, this kind of races I really like it.
You're doing a great job with that, and like we said, this is 2 races in a row that you've been able to win on just doing your fuel stop and fuel mileage. Congratulations, and the points championship is definitely going to be in your favor now with 2 wins like this. We talked about it last time. Your favorite track was Road America. Um, is there anything else coming up that you look at it and go, yeah, I like this track coming up? Is there another favorite one coming?
Siren, but I think it's the last one. Siren is another that I like it.
And that's another one you could save fuel a lot on too. So that should be fun to watch you race on that one.
Sorry. Yeah, it's not in this championship, but yeah, I don't know. Red Bull Ring is another.
Yeah, I like Red Bull Ring myself too. That is a fun track. So, is you got before we let you go and celebrate your victory again? Is you got anybody else you would like to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, to my best friend Lucas, he helped me a lot to improve my lap times in this circuit, this track, and yeah, that's how I I got the pole position.
Very nice.
Thanks to
Maybe we
him.
should all get lessons from Luca, and maybe we can all start getting faster like you, Agustin. Congratulations, my friend, and look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you. See you.
And that was our winner in the Pro-Am class, Agustin Castro. And as we're wandering around the paddock, we're going to come across our amateur winner, Stephen Kochko. Stephen, I think this is my first time talking to you on the podium. Congratulations on your win today. How did your race go for you?
It went pretty good, I would say. It was kind of uneventful. Right when the pit stop started and traffic started coming around, it got a little bit hectic there for a second, but stayed calm, made it through. No big issues. Had one slight incident going into the boot towards the end of the race, but saved it and kept it clean.
Awesome job, and it's not an easy feat to get a Porsche around here in one piece, and for you and Agustin both to get around here and to actually lay it down and get the victory. That goes against everything I was telling Seb earlier about the Porsche and being rough to get around. But you guys did a great job. You said it was pretty calm the entire race for you, but did you have any real close calls with some crazy traffic or LMPs, or was it pretty just status quo for you?
When I think it was Jake and Billy, we were having a little battle going back and forth. Like we kept losing in traffic and everything, and then Jake tried to go in on his pit and got caught out by a P2 and hit a wall, I think it was. But it started getting chaotic right around then. But other than that, and my little incident in the boot, is nice calm race.
Yeah, it looked like turn 9 was a pretty hairy turn for everybody coming onto the NASCAR straight. Did you have any issues coming up into that section, or did you come across people getting crazy there, or was it pretty easy there for you?
Not really. It was the only place I've ever really had troubles is always going into the bus stop, and I did pretty good with it today. I didn't really have any too many issues with it, but that's always been my downfall on this track, I feel like.
Yeah, it's one section you have to fully commit to or not. So it's tough, and especially the fast line through there is so much curb and so close to the wall that it gets a little scary if you're not willing to commit to it. So, but it looked like you did quite well as you were able to take the win by a pretty handy margin. So, congratulations, Stephen. Is there anybody you'd like to shout out before we let you go celebrate?
Just shout out to my fiance for letting me do this all the time. So.
But before we let you go, Stephen, just want to say, Sapphire Sinsport, I actually know Martin, the team owner. How are you getting on at Sapphire? I know it's a great team.
Oh, I love it there. It's great.
They are. They're really, really good. Are you doing the Petit Le Mans in the Porsche this weekend?
I am not. I have to work, sadly, but
Ah, well, once again, like Mike, congratulations on your race win today.
oh, thank you both.
And that was our winner in the AM class. In the GT3 class, Steven Koshko. He definitely was kind of a quiet race. We didn't really see a whole lot of him in this race, but he was able to take it home and take the win today. So I mean, it was a pretty good job from all of them, all three of them guys.
It certainly was, Mike. It was a really, really enthralling race. Probably. Yeah, as I said, as I alluded to earlier, I think it was nice that it wasn't so many incidents that we saw at Road Atlanta, but great race nevertheless. How would you sum up the race today in a few words? I mean, I know it's always really difficult when somebody asks you to do that, but how would you sum up today's race?
That if you want me to get arrogant, I told you so. Turn 9 was the thing, and they did not prove me wrong. We had so many incidents in turn 9. It is a very tricky section. Steven says he's pretty good at it, but it is so tricky to come back up that hill and down that NASCAR straight. And we saw so many issues right there. But all in all, I think they did a great job, and it was definitely a breath of fresh air after coming off the last race we had at Road Atlanta.
It certainly was. Well, if you want some more WSRL action, then we will be back with the Sprint Series, well, next week from Silverstone Circuit. That's a 60-minute race going away from your home turf, Mike, very much on to mine. Cannot wait for Silverstone. But until then, thank you so much for watching, for getting involved, and for all the drivers racing in the series. And I think a little bit of an apology. My first time in the production booth as well for quite some time here at WSRL. So if things didn't run quite as smooth as possible, I do apologise, of course. Adam Thompson, our normal producer, is off getting married, so we send our congratulations to him. But thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back very soon in 1 week's time. But if you want some more WSRL action, the Endurance Series is on this Sunday, so tune in to that. But until then, thank you very much, and we will see you again very soon. Bye.